Okay, Danny Andronic. Are you in junk removal? If so, where are you from? Hopefully everybody else comes back. We were just talking about counties. Huh. I guess it is technically a city. Just started in North Carolina. Oh, my dad lives in North Carolina and Franklin, over by Asheville. We were just up there. North Carolina is really nice. I've done a lot of moves to North Carolina. I've probably done maybe 10, 15 moves to North Carolina. There's a lot of really nice places. Riley's really nice too. What is your company name in North Carolina? Charlotte. I am familiar with Charlotte. Not like really in detail, but I think I've been to Greensboro multiple times because that's where one of the franchises for the company is. And then I think I've been to, I'm trying to think, Sugar Creek and South Park for moves. DNA junk removal. DNA delivery and junk removal? I'm assuming. Maybe not. This might be Pennsylvania. DNA junk removal. Ah, okay. A few more people are coming back. Huh. So if you type in DNA junk removal on Google, apparently there is a junk DNA for medical purposes. I'm not going to get into all of that though. So DNA junk removal in Charlotte, North Carolina. Do you have a website yet or social medias? Or did you like literally just file everything recently? Wish you guys could talk back. There's a strong delay between chats and talking. Just filed. Well, congratulations. It's always a fun process because every year you have to renew and you have to pay for something. You literally just click on the button to hit renew, and then you have to pay like $138 because somebody has to get paid and somebody has to sit there and file the paperwork for it. It's fun stuff though. What got you into junk removal? Former job of similar profession or just kind of trying to do a side hustle that doesn't take a lot to get into, or did you already know about it ahead of time? Be on the live. Don't bite me. No biting. DNA. I knew about it and decided to stupid emojis in the way to launch it. Nice. Similar to what I did. I worked as a professional mover, and the first company I worked at was College Hunks, who also has junk removal. It's actually what they started off with. But I wasn't in junk removal. I did the moving side. But after, well, not after a while, but when moving would get slow, they would toss us on junk removal because I was a crew leader, so I could technically do both. And that's where I learned that people were spending $700 and 30 minutes of time to load up a bunch of big furniture that you don't have to really care for. You just have to try to not bang up the customer's house. And I was so used to like all that same furniture, we'd have to sit there and wrap it and then move it with care. And it would take more like a couple of hours because you had to do all of that. But in junk removal, it's just grab and go. It's it's a lot easier compared to the moving side of it. But of course, that plays into the whole field of it all, and the only difference is care and a few other factors. But it's kind of what started it all. You change your goals. Good. Plus, you come across some cool things every now and then, and occasionally you come across a lot of crap too, or biohazard that you're not supposed to really be messing with, and construction debris that nobody likes to pick up pavers and carry them to your truck, and then do that for like hundreds of them. But for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. I would say like maybe like 1 in 15 to 20 jobs I just hate the whole time, whether I have somebody with me or not. It's just one of those things. So I see somebody else commented on the poll about goals. So my question was, do you change your goals throughout the year or do you keep it concrete? Meaning once you have a goal, you don't mess with it, you stick with it no matter what. And this wasn't literally meant down to like every itty bitty little thing you would want to do, but more so, let's say like my goal for this year, for example, would be to, I want to work with 25 realtors and I want to get 3 trucks going and I want to strictly work for this specific, or I want to shoot for this kind of job. But then, like halfway through the year, I realized, okay, realtors are good. Did you just throw up? Bubs, you nasty ass cat. Jesus Christ. Um, Halfway through the year, you're like, oh, property management is actually better and realtors kind of suck. And then you decide to go the other way. That's a more like minor change. But like a larger goal would be like your goal would be to expand in trucks, maybe do rentals, and then halfway through you decide to change it. That my cat throwing up threw me off. I forgot my own damn answer. Do you recommend working for a company before starting the business? Uh, I would say no. I mean, if you're able to and like you really want to do this, I don't think it would hurt. I would keep it as quiet as possible. And then be mindful of the fact that if you're going to work for another junk removal company with the intention of starting your own business, they're going to make you likely sign a contract in the beginning that's probably going to be just a typical like employee handbook. But I'm quite certain with through that handbook somewhere there's going to be a non-compete form that you're signing because it's very common for people to steal jobs through companies. Like if we went to like in the moving company, there was a lot of guys I knew that they would go to do a job and the customer is paying between 140 and $260 an hour between having 2 to 4 guys there. And there's a lot of stuff going on and maybe they didn't pack and they're like freaking out and they don't really have to be out that same time. So they would say, hey, if you want to leave all this little stuff here and we'll just take the big stuff in the truck because that's what insurance is going to cover anyways. I'll come back and help you pack all this stuff for a fraction of the cost. And then I can move it over like in a U-Haul. And the customer is like, oh, that's a great idea. And then just like that, the company technically loses probably 600 to $1,000 in time, and you can go do a side job for a few $100. But I would, I think it's a good idea to try to get in with like 1-800 Got Junk or something, and try to learn some of the basics. If you have no idea, if you don't know anything about junk removal, I think it would be a good learning opportunity. But I mean, you're going to have to be there for at least probably a month to really know the ins and outs. It would be great if you can get into like a driver position, like the crew leaders, so that way you get a better idea of operations and handling customers, and you'll have a better idea of pricing and like what they kind of gauge for and stuff. So I don't think it's a bad idea if this is your long term, but if you're just looking to do your own thing, I would just do your own thing. There's enough information out there nowadays that anything you would learn working for a junk removal company, you could learn on your own in a few days, just being diligent with what you're actually looking at. Scott Shaw, that sounds familiar. Your profile picture looks familiar too. Are you going to the Junk Expo in North California? Yes, I am. Matt and Jojo reached out to us a while back and asked if we would come up. So, yes, we will be there. Um, we actually have met Matt and Jojo a handful of times. When they were supposed to have their haulers ball back in 2001, I think it was, or 2002, one of the 2 years. They ended up having to cancel it like a month prior because of COVID. Like, I guess they were allowed to do it, and then California was like, yeah, actually, never mind. There's too much still going on, and there's too many people in one place. So they had to cancel, but I already had my plane tickets that were non-refundable, and I had my hotel which I could cancel, but I had the plane tickets. So we were like, "Hey, can we just come up anyways, and we'll take you guys out to dinner and just try to shoot the shit for like an hour or two, and try to learn a little bit more like in person." And that's what we did. And then we hanged out in Santa Rosa for a couple of days, and it was a good time. But we're gonna do the same thing this year. So kind of going over the topic of like the goals for this live. My fiance Tanya, who you've possibly seen in a few videos, more probably more so in pictures on social medias. She currently works for a property management company. She was a property manager and then she got promoted to corporate, handling their security system, like navigations, and like she like coordinates with all the other properties on the entire east coast of the United States for this specific thing. And she makes a decent amount of money with really good benefits, but she's getting tired of it and she wants to do her own thing. So she is going to be leaving that job in September. She has 2 years of expenses saved up and she's in a good position in every other way. So she just wants to get out, do her own thing. She's going to use my business as a stepping stone to not only work with me for the most part, relatively full time, but also work with me on my marketing and do networking a little bit more efficiently. And we're just going to hit the ground running. My goal is to pick up a part time employee and hopefully build that trust factor to where we can make them a full time employee and one day maybe even get them to drive the trucks. But that's kind of the goal, is to really buckle down the end of this year into spring next year. I'm also going to get a dump trailer Everybody did not like the fact that I did not get a dump trailer back in January, but I had my reasons. So those are some of the goals. We'll talk about a few more of them in a little bit. I'll see you there. I'm 60 minutes up the road. Mendo junk removal. Ukiah. I'm gonna look that up. Ukiah. I wonder if you are along. Ooh, the picture looks really nice. We're gonna be in California for like 5 days. We're treating it as like a congratulatory separation of the W-2, kind of like a mini vacation. So I have a bunch of things saved. Like we're gonna go to we went to Santa Rosa last time and explored San Francisco, and we went to like the redwoods and one of the vineyards. But I'm kind of thinking this time we would go to Fort Bragg, if you're familiar with that. Fort Bragg seems really nice, and they have some. Well, Fort Bragg base probably isn't that nice, but the whole area looks really nice, and they have a lot of like cliff points off of the beaches that I thought would be cool to drive up to. And then I think they have something called Glass Beach up there as well. So we're gonna be up there for a little while. I think the following day from the expo, we're gonna be doing something with Matt and JoJo, and then after that, we're gonna drive around. So if you have any recommendations of things to do and or see, I would highly appreciate that if you can comment them down below. Within like a 2-ish hour driving of Santa Rosa, because the hotel is gonna be Santa Rosa the whole time. What trees? I already have a trucking company that I have commercial insurance and general liability for. I'm going to use my box truck now for junk removal. The insurance I already have is sufficient, correct? I am not sure enough to give you an answer that could otherwise get you in trouble. So I would call your insurance company and double check, because the problem would be your trucking company. Are you using it to transport items from point A to point B? Because then I would imagine you're covering the value of your truck and or the cargo in the event you are in an accident, and also probably any accidental loading or offloading accidents that would occur, assuming you probably have a lift gate possibly if you have a box truck. The problem with junk removal inside your truck, I would say yes, everything would be fine. But because you're going into people's houses and removing stuff, your insurance policy, I don't think would necessarily cover that. Unless your policy is like moving, if you do moving, but because you specified trucking company, I'm assuming you do deliveries. That I think would be the tricky part is you're going into somebody's house and let's say remove a piano. And as you pick up that piano and you pull it out, you drop one side of it and it smacks into tile and cracks one of the tiles. And they say, hey, I want you to fix that. Because you are technically operating outside of what your insurance covers, I would imagine you would have an issue. So I would recommend calling your insurance company and saying, hey, I know I have insurance for XYZ. I'm looking to do junk removal. Can I do it under this policy or do I need to add something? There's a good chance they might just need to put in wording that you are doing something other than deliveries, and you might not actually raise too much costs. Um, that would be my guess, but I'm not 100% sure enough to tell you. Fort Bragg is in your service area. Well, if you need help on your jobs, if you got a dolly and a hand truck, I can manage. Hello. Um, Mando junk removal. Let me look something up. What are your guys' goals for the rest of this year and going into 2025. Sounds weird to say 2025 already. I feel like we were just in 2022. Mando chocolate. Huh, I think we have about the same amount of Google reviews. Mendo. I'm looking at your website, by the way. Ah, you pull a van. Okay. I am genuinely curious. How does the van hold up with pulling a double axle dump trailer? Because that looks like at least a 12-foot. I don't think it's a 14-foot. Is that a 14-foot? It's hard to. Oh, hold on. That's a queen bed. 6. No, that's a 12-foot. That's a 12-foot. How does the Astro van hold up with the dump trailer? Because I see that a lot in my areas, and I don't understand how that is able to safely pull a dump trailer. So I'm just curious. I like your website though. It's very clean, straightforward. Did you do it yourself or did you have somebody make your website? Just curious. It looks like somebody made it. If they didn't, then I would take that as a compliment. I like it though. The van will pull 8K. Huh. Do you have a dollar goal in mind for the year or each month or each quarter? Um, I don't really have a set dollar sign in mind. I have like a broad goal. Like for me, like 8 grand a month is technically all I really need to be fine. So I would say a goal would be like between 10 and 15,000 a month. It's also not the easiest to do that alone with one truck. I found that I do cap myself off at certain points, but that would be like the goal for the end of the year and going into next year. Because at that point, the surplus amount would make for great reinvesting of the business and it would cover a lot of our costs down to like the perfect T. But keep in mind, I don't have any employees. I don't have payroll settings. I don't have payroll settings. I don't have payroll taxes. I don't have workers' comp. I'm workers' comp exempt myself, which I should probably get. So that 15K, if I were to pick up an employee or two and some more vehicles and higher insurance, would probably dwindle down to like probably 10. Mendo websites made it. Huh. So now, do you own Mando Junk Removal, or is that a like a franchise? What is Wendo Mando website maker? Is it a website builder? How do you handle slash carry appliances and large furniture all by yourself? That's what the dollies and the hand trucks are for. Um, I used to work as a mover, and you learn how to handle larger, bulkier furniture by yourself with the right technique and a little bit of strength. You can do a lot with the hand truck and the dolly by yourself. A lot of it comes down to technique, honestly. Like if I didn't know half the stuff I knew, I would not be doing junk removal solo whatsoever. I wouldn't even attempt it. Like smaller stuff, sure, but like refrigerators and like sleeper sofas and arm wires and what else sucks to move. Trying to think what else sucks to move. Secretary desks, those suck. But a lot of that comes down to just knowing like how to place it on a dolly, where to move it, how to move it. A lot of it's technique, honestly. It's all knowledge. But I'm not physically carrying much. I can carry some stuff, but I'm not like lifting a couch over my head and walking with it. It's scooping it up on the hand truck and rolling it out to my truck. Technically, my trailer, I can just roll it right onto my trailer. That's why I didn't get a dump trailer, honestly. Um, when I because when I started, I got a single axle trailer, which was probably my biggest mistake I made with business. And I was very ignorant when it came to trailers. I never drove a trailer before. I never looked at trailers before. When I was Googling about trailers ahead of time, I was looking at like the safety things to look out for, how to practice driving backing up, what to plan for, all these things. And never once did I think, oh, what's the difference between a single axle and a tandem axle? And the guys who sold me the trailer, nobody asked me what I'm using it for. So I just never knew. And the annoying thing about it is the double axle for the 6.5 by 12-foot trailer, which I got the single, was only like $200 more than the single axle at the time. And it literally would have solved all my problems because I was never not able to do a job for weight purposes, but I was very mindful of it. And I intentionally would take smaller loads and multiply it if needed to get like a bigger job done. Whereas now with the double axle, even with all the wood on it, I can still hold like 4,500 in the trailer. So I'm a lot less skeptical about putting heavier stuff in there. So that was something that when I got the double axle, it was more just like a way to put me back on track to where I should have been in the first place. Plus, the bigger trailer helps because a lot of my jobs, like my full loads, I would stack above and go up a little bit and strap it down really well. And now I feel like I do the same size jobs and it fits perfectly in there. So it was like a perfect upgrade. But technically, I was planning on getting a dump trailer originally and just skipping right to it. But I actually use my trailer for other stuff besides junk removal. And I've loaded a dump trailer before. And I remember loading furniture on it kind of sucked because there's no ramps unless you get a custom ramp made, but then you have to make like a custom rack to hold the ramp. And there's not really too many great places to put that ramp on the trailer without blocking the ramp on the sides. So I've had to load a couple of pieces and like you'd have to wheel it up, sit it there, tilt it down, lift it up, push it in, get in the trailer, and then go shimmy it into place. And to me, that sounded like a real fucking pain in the ass compared to what I'm able to do now, which is stick something on a hand truck, roll it right onto my truck, set it in place, and then get off. And when I get to the dump, I do the same exact thing to get off the trailer. Just use the dollies I use at hand trucks. I'm not sitting there having to lift things and slide things off. Like I don't think the pro of pushing a button to dump it off made up for the fact that I would have to realistically hand load everything into the dump trailer. It would of course come in handy when you have construction jobs and jobs where it's just literally trash or bags or construction debris. Absolutely. But for the most part, I just didn't want it that right now. So my next step would be a dump trailer, and then I'll use the dump trailer and my double axle together and sell my 12-foot trailer with the aluminum build. What trailer utility? I don't understand what that means, but it's a 6.5 by 12-foot open utility trailer. So it didn't have any sides to it initially, but that was the first one. The newer one I have is a 6.5 by 14-foot double axle trailer that was also open, but I built the wood around it and then put aluminum flooring in the bottom. So what else are oh, somebody answered no. Wow. It doesn't tell me how many people would tell me no. What are people's goals for, let's just say, 2025? What you should be able to tell by May and June, like what you're looking at for next year. Continue with my goals in the meantime. So fiance's joining. Well, by then actually she'll be my wife. We're getting married September 29th. Um, so she's joining. We'll be doing marketing, networking. We're gonna push for more commercial jobs. We met a we met a contractor who owns a brewery, and he was telling me how he loves the commercial side of business because it's all numbers. There's no emotions, which is what junk removal comes down to a lot of, because people are attached to their items. And he's like, he can go in and paint a warehouse, and the customer tells him, hey, use this color paint. And then they do it and they set everything up, and they're like, oh, I don't really like the color. And he'll tell them, well, that sucks. You owe me $17,000, and walk away. And that's just what it comes down to. It's not an emotional thing. It's just, it's all numbers. And he was telling me, like, if you can get into that field and you can work some good people and you can outbid others, you would be in a good position to get some larger jobs that load by load probably doesn't make too much sense if you're having to bid with other people, but the volume is what can get you. And it's not just volume over a span of like months, it's like one job. And I would love to get into more of that stuff where it's like we have a month to do this job and it's however much I can tackle in that time. That was like the marble job I gave an estimate for, which I was not going to touch with a 10-foot pole. But he was like, yeah, like I have a month to be here. And I was like, I was thinking in my head, I was like, huh, maybe I can do like a little bit at a time and just do like a couple loads every morning for like 7 days a week. But that was not in my ballpark. So we definitely want to try to get into more commercial work. We are also going to try to set up some contracts with apartment buildings in our area. That I was reached a property manager of a community that the realtor who basically sells all of the condos in that property area. He reached out to me and asked me to stop by the dumpster to pick up like a few items. And he said, going forward in the future, if we have something like this pop up again, is this something that you'd be open to coming to do, whether it's a small load or a big load? So that may be a ongoing connection. We've already sent over the W-9, so that way they have our information for the future, which is always a good sign when they ask for that versus just paying you once, because usually that means that you aren't going to probably see them again. At least that's what I found. And then in addition to that, we are going to try to work with more other professionals. So when we do like the networking, for example, my current networking group isn't like a BNI, if you're familiar with that. It's very like we meet with the same people. They have four different groups. Actually, they have five different groups, and they meet 4 different days of the week. And you go there, and you're seeing the same 4 to 10 to 15 people every single week, and everyone shares a good thing that happened to them that week, business or personal, and then you talk about, there's an open-ended question to kind of get everyone to discuss their ideas and feelings about it. And before and after, you're talking to those people. So what you're doing is you're building rapport with these other professionals. There's interior designers, realtors, contractors, restoration companies, professional organizers, There's a lot of realtors. There's financial guys in there, there's lawyers in there, and all these people, it's not so much them specifically that could use me. It's the fact that they are working with their own clients who may have something similar going on. All you need is for someone to say, "Yeah, I'm so stressed out because we're going to be moving soon and we have all this crap we don't plan on taking. And we're trying to see if we can leave it with the house." And the accountant that maybe knows me through the group can say, "Oh, I know this guy, Chris with Clutter Reduction. He can come in and clear out all of your stuff that you don't want anymore." And just like that, you have a connection and you have a job. And it wasn't him that's using me, it's one of his clients. Every business professional has a strong network of people that they know. So that's the power of networking. And we're going to really dive even deeper on that than we already are. Let me answer these two questions. Why aren't extended versions of cargo vans used in junk removal? When you say extended versions of cargo vans, are you referring to like a transit van? Like the 12 and 14-foot ones? I used to use those for catering. Um, I see, I don't know what extended, let me Google. Extended cargo van. All right, so they are transit. Damn, this one's long. Oh, shit. Um, I see people using them. There's actually a couple of guys on YouTube that use them as well. I can't tell you the names off the top of my head, but there's a few guys that use cargo vans. They can be used. I think the reason they're not as common, I would say, is two things. Number one, I would imagine, because this is how I would feel, I wouldn't want to be putting people's junk inside of the vehicle that I am also sitting in, even with some kind of divider up, because junk removal isn't always pleasant. You may take furniture that looks fine from the outside, but if you look on the back or you open up the drawers, you might see mold. Or there could be construction debris that has, drywall dusting or insulation or something mixed in that's getting knocked around inside of a van and releasing particles. Or maybe you go to storage unit and remove a bunch of dirty old boxes that have rats in it or roaches or other kind of termites or bugs or whatever. Maybe there's even some live rats still, or sorry, dead rats, even worse. Because dead rats, if you knock around the carcasses, they can release vapors and then you can get virus from it, which can kill you. So I would imagine that's one of the factors. And then from a logistical point of view, I would imagine that you are limited to your spacing based on dimensions. So, for example, like I used to drive the big Ford Transit vans for catering. You can fit a lot of crap in there. I'm pretty sure you could. I don't know if you would be able to fit a king in there standing straight up and down, but you can definitely fit a queen, no problem. So let's say you fit a queen, a box spring. You could probably slide a three-seater couch in there if it's a long enough van. And then you could stack a bunch of crap on top of the two, kind of on an angle. And then on the other side, you could put the bed frame and whatever else little things you could fill in. So you could put a decent amount in there. You could definitely do, I mean, a good sized cargo van is probably maybe 5/8 to 3/4 of what my trailer could technically hold. But you are limited to the type of items you can go in as far as sizing. If I had a really awkward, weird piece that maybe fanned out in four different directions, unless you want to sit there and cut it up, maybe it doesn't go in widthwise. And even if you turn it up on an angle, maybe it's more like a cross where it's on a weird angle. And, like you may not have the greatest opportunity with shoving something in there that's not going to limit your other possibilities with spacing. I don't know. Those would be my two guesses. It sounds like Scott has been in that situation as well. El Yankyo, I'm at work. Will this be live available later? Yes. I just had to edit out the first 12 minutes of me talking to myself because I had the setting marked to private, like a fucking idiot. And I was wondering why the 7 people that were in the previous chat didn't just hop over because I'm an idiot. But yes, it will be up. It'll just be trimmed, so you don't have to worry about seeing all the awkward silences. Trying to think of my other goals. Tanya's joining, get an employee, dump trailer, sell the other trailer. I had something else. I sold the van as a 6 cubic yards for $390. That's a lot more expensive than what I charge. $390 for 6 cubic yards. Do some maths really quick. So $65 a yard. If I did that for my trailer, it would be $1,105, which actually that doesn't sound too unreasonable depending on where you're located. In my area, that's a lot, but yeah, not trying to discourage you, J and H. If if your van is what you are looking into, I would stick with it. You have other options. I mean, if you can honestly, unless you already have the transit van, I would say if you could afford a transit car or a cargo van, you can probably afford a pickup truck too. And then you can get a trailer relatively cheap comparable to price. The only difference is now you're a little bit more you're a little bit longer, a little bit more of a liability when you're driving. Oh, your disposal is expensive. Our trash disposal for a ton in South Florida is $42. Our debris is 68, and then vegetation is 38. And our minimum is $10, which I've equated to be about 500 pounds. So I know as long as I have just a few items, is always going to be a minimum. Apparently, you can't beat that though, unless you do it for free, which apparently something in North Florida does disposal for free. But it also sounds like it's for residential, and the guy who's using it is a commercial company, which I don't understand how he makes that work. Isuzu, I get 13 cubic yards, A45. Actually, I guess you're in California, so that makes sense then. Especially North California. I imagine if you're in LA, you'd probably be 1.5 times that. But, huh. I guess that makes sense for your price range. Because North California is nice too. It's just not as LA'd. 125 a ton here. Yeah, that's a lot. Sorry, bud. Hello, Chris Marino. I have another goal. So I'm actually in the process of doing it right now. 140 a ton. Jesus. If you've seen some of my more recent videos, I have a storage unit that I resell out of, and I primarily use Facebook Marketplace. And it's a 10 by 20 outdoor unit, but it's like east west facing, so it actually doesn't get direct sunlight, so it doesn't get super hot in there. And it was 226 a month, and it got bumped up to 329, which for that size storage unit in my current area is still really cheap, but it's more than I was willing to pay for. So I am demolishing it, and by the 31st, it will meet its demise, and we will be bringing everything home. So I gutted out my garage, repainted it, reset everything up like on one side of the wall. We're gonna make the other side like a staging wall, and then we're gonna store stuff in the corner of the garage. And the objection is objection. Objective is to keep slightly nicer stuff that we can sell for slightly more money and try to trash transport. I met him at JunkCon back when he first ish started. I have your picture somewhere. I could probably find your picture in 5 minutes if I can think of where my JunkCon notebook is. Um, so yeah, like I would sell stuff for like 5 to or not 5, like 10 to 30 bucks, like that low spectrum, because I was like, oh, volume wise, I could sell 10 of these and like that makes it worth it. And like you get so much stuff then that you just keep the volume low or you keep the pricing low. The live chats are really fucking distracting when you're trying to talk. So I'm just gonna look this way. So yeah, we would sell a bunch of stuff really, really cheap with the expectation of, okay, well, it's gonna be replaced by next week. And you give people a good deal, you get stuff in and out fast. It's just quick little side money. But if it was all coming from my house, sure, I could leave shut my patio. We let people put money under the doormat, easy peasy. However, when I have to drive to the storage unit, which is less than 10 minutes away, and then get the piece, put it in my truck, bring it to the front, wait for the person. I always arrive a little early because business. And I've waited as long as a fucking hour for people to get here. And two times we've waited almost like 45 minutes and found out they weren't coming. Or they're like, yeah, we're just now leaving. We won't get there until 5:30. And it's like, why am I here an hour like early? And that's just very frustrating. And I found myself spending hours every time I went to storage. I would sit there and organize and look stuff up and like get distracted. And like the amount of energy and time I put into it wasn't worth it at the end of the day. Like our goal was to sell 2,000 a month in resale. And we got pretty close in March, but we haven't gotten like the actual goal because it's very dependent on business and how busy we are or what kind of stuff we have. And it doesn't matter if I'm selling a $30 item or a $200 item. Like the time it takes to do all that is the same. So it didn't make sense to house it all on such a large storage unit that's never really more than like half full. So we're bringing it home. We're gonna stick to like a really nice end table, console table, side table, nightstand, dresser, chest, stuff that I can put on a staged wall that looks nice, take a picture and sell it for like 50 plus. And half the time I could probably leave it on my front porch and I actually have to be home. So that's a big goal of mine because it'll save me a lot of time and energy. Ugh. They charge $99 per mattress in Livermore, about 30 miles away. Where is Livermore? I'm confused. So you're in San Jose, but they charge $99 per mattress in Livermore. That's 30 miles away. Is that how much the dump charges? And is that how far away your dump is from you? Because unless you guys are div, am I getting San Jose mixed up with California? Is that Texas? Hang on. No, that's California. So in California, I know that's what Sonoma does. If you cut up the mattress and take out like the springs and stuff, can't you get rid of it for free? Unless that's not what you're talking about. No, I'm San Jose and dump. Okay. Your dump is 30 miles away or 30 minutes? Oh, juicy. Oh, juicy. Goal is to make at least 3K a week. That's a good goal. It's a doable goal. It's a good goal. Where are you based out of? And what's your company name? How often do you guys pay yourselves? So it depends on how you set up your business. If you do like an escort, you do a salary. So I guess probably weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever. I do member draws. So I pay myself a percentage of every job I do, and I do payouts on Sundays. So I go through my Excel sheet, add up all my jobs. I do a percentage of those numbers. So like let's say for example, 40% I'll pay myself, 40% goes towards operation expenses, and then 20% would go towards like profit and taxes or whatever. So I just pay myself every Sunday. Once in a while I do jobs in those cities like Livermore. Huh. Texas Tex-Mex junk removal. Is that all one word? Oh no, sorry. You're in Texas Tex-Mex junk removal. I'm surprised Tex-Mex was available. Tex-Mex junk removal. And you got a 5-star review. And we have a website. Oh, you got the nice wood builds on your truck. My helper has wood build on his truck. He's able to handle up to I think 5 cubic yards in his truck. Oh, you have a trailer too. I like your website. It's very clean looking. I have a feeling it's GoDaddy without even looking. Is it GoDaddy? I can't. Oh, you don't have a thing. It looks like GoDaddy based on the format. That's what I have. Oh, that hoarder house looks like fun. Nice. You're taking feet off the couch. Look at you. Good job. You'd be surprised how many people don't take the feet off a couch and then try to force it through a door. And it catches on the door frame and they're like, push harder. And I'm like, why would you fucking push harder? That's how you. Focus premium detailing and Windows tint. Drop a like. I like the knowledge you drop for us new guys. Thanks. I always consider myself to be new at this. We learn something new every day. I'm comfortable with moving. Everything else, winging it. That's why I don't talk about certain topics if you've ever noticed. Love your videos. Thanks for sharing. Thank you, GPTX. Where are you out of? You guys are opening up all my browsers here. GPTX. Very fuck up. GP. I'm assuming you're in Texas. GPTX junk removal. I could be wrong. Nope, you're in Texas. Okay. See, context clues. I learned something from school. Grand Prairie, Texas. I've been to Texas twice. Once for a move that we passed through for Arizona. And we were supposed to use one of like the main highways to cross. And they had it shut down for a windmill issue. That's what the trooper said. And we had to go down along the Mexican border in a box truck that was already kind of broken from the start and make our way back up. It took us 17 hours to get through Texas. We'll never in my fucking life do that again, especially in a box truck. Although I will say it was really cool seeing the windmills. We actually saw, I was just talking about this last night. We had we were at one of the rest stops and the guide truck, which will go in the front and the back of oversized loads, they made everyone pull off to the side of the road. And for like 90 seconds, this long white beam passes us. And it's a windmill, like wing, just one wing. They are huge when they're like right in front of you. It was pretty cool to see. There's actually a time lapse video on YouTube showing like the start to finish of a window being built literally every single minute. And it's like a 33-minute time lapse video. Pretty cool to watch. You'll have an appreciation for windmills. You'll be on YouTube going down a rabbit hole for no reason. We started 2 months ago. How is business in Texas? Yeah, your highways. I can't comment on your highways because Florida sucks. But by the way, Tex-Mex, that's a good picture to have on your front page with the three of you guys in the truck. It's good to have pictures of you with your truck, especially with other people. What was I thinking of? Oh, I always compare Texas to Florida as far as the heat goes. Like it's hot in Texas. Don't get me wrong, it's hot. But your air is a little bit more dry, which can interfere with your throat and your nose a little bit when you're not used to it. Don't get me wrong. But I would rather do that than Florida's humidity any given day. What kind of jobs are you getting? Are they like residents finding you online? I think when I looked you up, I saw Nextdoor and Yelp. I actually don't think I saw a Google My Business. Do you have a Google My Business? I'm trying not to get you mixed up with Tex-Mex. GPTX. Because you mentioned there are not a lot of jobs, but they're higher paying. Oh no, you have a Google My Business. You have 8 reviews. Good job. Are you doing more like realtor jobs, or people finding you online, or is it like contractors, property managers, stuff like that? I'm just curious what like higher payers are for you. Jonathan Riviera is in New Jersey. I have only been in New Jersey once for a wedding when I was in high school, and we went to White Castle, and that's my only memory of it. 75% Nextdoor and 25% Craigslist. You should hop on Facebook too if you're not utilizing that. I find Facebook and Nextdoor to be very compatible. I try not to like spam too much on Nextdoor because I do notice, at least in my area, people get annoyed about it. So I'll usually post once or maybe twice a week, and I'll usually throw in some kind of helpful hint. So like I'll post a picture, and I always try to get pictures of like somebody, whether it's me or my fiance, and try to say like, oh, if you have a mattress, most donation places don't pick them up because of XYZ. Here's a few places in my area you can try contacting. If all else fails, give us a call. So I try to be helpful with the information I put out, because worst case, they share it or they'll message it to somebody else. And that's always, of course, helpful. I've had some people too where I had this one lady call, nicer, like older lady. You could tell she like was tight on a budget at the time. That's the key word. She had a 3-bedroom house worth of Italian furniture, nicer stuff, and she was calling me for a quote, and she sent me over a bunch of pictures, and I said, based on the pictures, I would say you're looking at like 2 to 3 loads, which is between like 1,500 and like 2,300, depending on the like actual amount. And she was like, whoa, that's a little bit more than I was expecting. She didn't know anything about junk removal. She wasn't rude about it, but Sorry, fiance called. Um, and I told her, well, you can try calling, and I named off like 5 different places. And then I emailed her some of them because she couldn't quite hear me too clearly to fully understand everything. And I think she ended up getting the majority of her furniture taken by donation. And when the time came, she called me to come get everything else. And it ended up being like 3/4 of a load. But she referred me to her daughter, and she referred me to her neighbor at her old neighborhood that she moved from. And she said, even though your prices were too high for me in the beginning, I really appreciated that you were so informative with other ways versus just trying to pin me for my money. Because she just got done dealing with a contractor for a bathroom remodel that was quoted for like 6,000, which already sounds like a lot, but apparently it's not. Ended up being $13,500 for a bathroom remodel. But they went in and tore everything out, and then they said, "Hey, we ran into some problems. It's going to be double your price." And she's like, "Well, what do you mean?" But at this point, she didn't have a bathroom, and she was moving soon, so it was a shitty situation, and she just was relieved that I tried to help her. So sometimes it helps. All right, let me catch up. That's next. Facebook is pretty intimidating. I don't think so. I mean, if you're running ads, maybe. Oh wait, hold on. Oh, I'll fish you. Um, so Facebook, I add myself to my local city groups. So, for example, I'm in Palm Beach County. So, like, we have like a West Palm Beach group and a Boynton Beach group and a Delray Beach group and a Boca Raton group. You're not gonna know what those are unless you're in my area. And it's people saying, "Hey, I'm looking for a recommendation for so and so service." What I will usually do, of the groups that do allow business posting, which is a few, you have to check the rules, otherwise they'll kick you out. I will go in and comment and say, uh, I didn't see Andrew replied to me. Uh, see, Andrew Thompson's such a helpful guy. Um, what do you call it? Bob's, I lost my train of thought. You being a good boy. Oh, I will reply to that post and say, hey, you can try this guy. I've worked with him in the past. Go down a couple spaces. By the way, if you ever need junk removal, and I'll tag my business. And the objective with it isn't so much for that specific person, but it's for everybody else that's going to drop down those comments to either comment themselves or check for recommendations as well. So I'll do that. And that used to get me a lot of business in the beginning. I'm not as frequent on there as I used to be. I've just gotten very lazy, but that was always very helpful for me. Unless you're referring to ads, then I apologize. Trash transport. I might be starting up another location in another state in a few months. Would you recommend I make a whole new website or add a location pages? I don't know if you could technically just leave your website as is and just change all of your information on it. Because once you put in the new keywords, I would imagine Google would pick up those keywords all the same, even if you were changing locations, especially if you're going to another state. So I would say I would check on Google a little bit for that. Maybe reach out to Andrew Thompson from Jedi Junk Removal and see what he thinks. But I would imagine you could probably keep your website so at least you have some SEO traction and then just change locations. And then you could even put in your website, like, hey, we changed locations from so and so. So at least people know, like, oh, you were a credible business before. You're not just some new place in town. I mostly do yard signs and door hangers. They work, but we had a tornado and my shipment of yard signs have been delayed. So now I boosted a post on Facebook to get more people to click on my website. Huh. Well, hopefully everything was okay with the tornado. We don't really have those in Florida. Um, how do door hang? You say they work. How well do they work? Because not gonna lie, I have door hangers. I have door hangers. I put them out here and there. I'm a little bit more skeptical about them because a lot of places in my area are HOA and they don't like door hangers. And the moving company I worked for, we would put them out, and I was good at putting those out. I would put out like 100 of them at a time because I would win cash prizes for it as well. But like I remember asking the manager once, I was like, "Hey, like, does anyone ever complain and try to fine you?" And he said, "Yeah, it happens from time to time, but the fine is worth the potential outreach that we get through those door hangers or through those yard signs." So I always thought that was a good point. I just don't want to take that risk, I guess. I don't want to get in trouble. $70 a ton. Text me too. I'm catching up. Hang on. If their city is picking up people's junk for free, I would do the same, honestly. I would use that disaster to your benefit. I was going to do that 2 years ago when we had a hurricane. At first, I was offering like last minute emergency pickup for like a fraction of the cost. Like if people just had crap in their yard that they just never bothered to get rid of, I would be like, "Hey, I'll come by and pick that up for $140, where it would normally be like 350." But honestly, the more I deal with stuff, the more I think it would be worthwhile after a disaster, especially when people are all very emotional as a community. If you were to post and say, "Hey, I don't know your name. I'm so and so with so and so junk removal. If you guys have debris out in your yard that trash the city hasn't gotten to yet, or you need help maybe like pulling some stuff from your backyard, give us a call. We're trying to help our community and we're offering free junk removal for the next week for people that were affected by the hurricane. So not people like who want to get rid of a couch." But that might be a really good marketing tool, and you'll probably be able to market to those clients, and they'll probably remember you in the future as well. So that might be a good idea. That's what I was going to plan on doing this year because our hurricane season starts in like I think April and ends in like November. So it's like the majority of the year. And I wanted to um I was thinking about that like if I were to just put out a post and say, "Hey, we're doing free junk removal for our city," and we're doing it specifically for like stuff outside that would otherwise be blown around. And like when you get there, you can assess the situation. Like you don't have to screw yourself over. But that might be a good opportunity. Offer up. How do you post on offer up for junk removal? Isn't that for selling? Or are you marking it as a service, like $99 minimum to start? I see that on Facebook Marketplace. We were looking at barn doors, and this guy's like, "Oh, I have a barn door starting at $99." I was like, "That sounds cheap." I go click on it. It's a whole fucking business. Motherfuckers got me all excited. That's a good idea, Scott. Pardon our dust, or we could probably do something similar. I was thinking too. Um, the moving company I worked at, they had these sticky notes that I wasn't fond of them at the time because I had to put my phone number on the sticky note. But let's say like we were at an apartment complex and we had to park the moving truck right out front. Like it's a 26-foot truck, so altogether it's like 34 feet. Plus you have like a 11-foot ramp, so you're taking up a good amount of parking. So we would park out front, and we're basically blocking like 7 to 10 cars at a time, depending on the parking lot. And they have these sticky notes that says, "Sorry, we're blocking you. If you need to leave, call this number. We'll come down immediately and move it." And then they had the branded logo on it. So it was supposed to be a way to, number one, you're walking out, you're seeing this big ass moving truck blocking your parking spot. Number one, you're looking at a branded moving truck if you ever need one in the future. Your initial instinct is, damn it, I'm blocked in. That's everybody's initial instinct. But you get to your car and you see a sticky note that says, "Hey, we acknowledge that we're blocking your spot. We are sorry about it. There's nowhere else to park. Give us a call. We'll come out and move immediately." And then they call you and say, "Hey, you're blocking my spot." And you say, "No problem. We'll be right out." You move. Usually people say thanks about that. You say, "I'm so sorry." "Oh, don't worry about it." It's a positive encounter that would otherwise be a negative one. So it does have some perk to it. And back then, I never did it because I didn't want to put my phone number on the sticky note, because more than often you have people that are real assholes. We had a guy call us, or he didn't call us. He left a bad review for the company, and in his review, it said something along. I could probably find it too. It says something along the lines of, "Yeah, I don't really know anything about this company, but it was a real pain in the ass to have to wait 10 minutes to back out because a big stupid ass truck was blocking my parking spot, as if they couldn't park anywhere else in this parking spot." And it was like, it was an apartment complex, like he's right in front of the building. And I was like, "What do you want me to do? Park in the fucking air?" So some people don't like you parking. Like, what are you gonna do? They had to move in at some point. I'm sure their moving truck blocked somebody else, and they probably didn't care because it was them. But yeah, I thought that would be a good idea. So like you could do something similar for junk removal. But then like a sticky note is pretty like, it's unlikely it's gonna damage like the vehicle if you forget it on there and it gets wet. But I did get I got these to put in my thank you cards for when we get like those really good clients that I think will actually keep them. They're magnets for the like refrigerators or for whatever, and it's just like a little memo card to keep like on your refrigerator, and it's for people who have used me. So it's 3 habits for remaining decluttered, and we have our website at the bottom. So it's a branding thing. It's just something I was trying out, but I did think like you could do something similar to this and stick it on people's cars, which is not going to damage the paint. It's not going to damage the window. If it rains, it's fine. And it's just like a little marketing thing. And you could technically just leave and leave it on the car. And, you could even throw a little coupon in there too to say, like, you know, if you come out and we're blocking you, we're sorry. We'll be happy to move. Call this number. Save 10% on junk removal in the future for your inconvenience. So something to try. Um, yeah, that'd be a good idea. Just knock on the doors. I mean, in most situations, it would probably be solicitation, but in this situation, because it's a disaster, I feel like it would be like a good pass to get in, and you are building one-on-one rapport with everybody. Like you're basically doing door-to-door sales without having to push for sales. So it might actually be a good idea, because even if somebody says, "Oh no, we were okay, like fortunately, but we do have this couch we were planning on getting rid of. Could you take that instead?" And you could say, "Absolutely. We could pick it up for $50 or whatever, or leave them with a card and come back next time." And then yeah, you could ask for reviews on Google. There was a guy. It's saved in my playlist. There was a guy, a video I watched. It was a handyman, and when he first started business, there's a lot of competition. Do you think junk removal was saturated? good luck with a handyman. You don't need to be licensed or insured or anything. You just need to know how to change out a damn ceiling fan. When he first started, and I think he's in Oregon, which is a very it's a costly place. Let's just say that. He for his first month on every I think it was every Friday and Saturday, he offered free handyman services for like 10 different services. And they're all small little mini things that like otherwise would be like 1 hour minimum jobs that would cost like 30, $50. But he offered it for free in a way where he could piggyback it off of other jobs, or he could just quick go do it in the morning or something. And he was using it as a marketing scheme to he would meet this person. Let's say it's like, oh, I'm trying to think of a service. Um, I don't know. I'll swap out your outlet or something. Like some people can do that in like 2 minutes. I'll swap out your outlet, and he would go in and do it. Take him like 10 minutes. And as he's talking to the customer, you talk with your customer, you get to know about them. They start asking you questions, and you build this one-on-one rapport with them. And hopefully they ask you questions about what else you can do. Once that comes up, you're in. And you can say, oh, well, name a problem and I can tell you if I can do it. If I can't do it, I'll find somebody else who can, but I'll make sure it gets done. And if you come off as charismatic and genuine, people love that. And they feel more trusted, especially handymen that come into your house. Usually there's only one person there, so it's not the most trusting situation and things can go wrong. So he would do that for like a month, and it was only these days, so he didn't have to worry about interfering with other jobs. And he would ask them to leave a review, and then he would give them a couple of business cards and say, please, for your neighbors or anyone else let them know about me. You can check out my website. These are all the different things I can do. I've been doing this for years, whatever. And he used that for like a month. And he said it was a huge jumpstart to his business because he was doing it within his community and he was getting around to all the different neighbors, especially older people. That's a big place for a handyman. You go to somebody's house who isn't able to unscrew a light bulb anymore and they don't want to get on the step ladder, they don't have balance. You come in and do that super easy. You don't charge for it because it's a small task. But maybe next time there's a problem with their AC that doesn't require an HVAC guy, and a handyman can do it. So you say, hey, I have this issue, and you can say, okay, no problem. I can come out, take a look at it. If I can do anything about it, it'll be like $50. Not a big deal. And then you tell your neighbor, oh, you should try this handyman. He came over and he did this and that. He can do so much. And just like that, you're being referred without having to do anything. Yeah, there you go. I would start with your own neighborhood, honestly. Depending if you live in an apartment complex or a neighborhood, start in your own neighborhood because you're going to have the best connection with those people. So you can go by and say, hey, I'm in the neighborhood. I'm over in so and so street or so and so building. I do junk removal. This tornado, caused some debris issues, and we're taking away free junk removal based on if it was affected by the tornado. All we ask in return is that you share our name with somebody else and leave us a 5-star review. Be a really good way to get you on the map fast for Google. You getting them squirrels? Good job. Let's look at the poll. So I asked, do you change your goals throughout the year or do you keep it concrete? 88% said yes. 12% said no. I don't know. That's you. Oh, I do know. There's 16 votes. I don't know if I'm doing the math for that. Huh. Have a good night. A little juicy or day, depending. Oh, I guess you're in. I don't know what time it is where you are. Texas. Texas a couple hours behind, I think. So have a good evening. I'm really bad with time zones, but I'm pretty sure that's where you're at. So Alex and GPTX, if you're still in here, what are some of your goals for the rest of this year and 2025, if you have any? Just try to get out more and communicate. Have you tried networking, Alex, or doing any kind of like business meetups? If you go on like eventbrite.com, they have, if you go to like the business category, this is what I did before I found out about networking, like groups. They would have like coffee meets every single Tuesday at like the same time and check like who posted it and try to see if it's the same person because there's a good chance that you can you go to these groups for free, just buy a $3 coffee or don't buy any coffee, and you can basically meet with the same people every single week. And like I mentioned earlier about networking, you build rapport with these people, especially realtors. Realtors go to a lot of these groups. That's what I've come to find. And you can meet with them and you can talk to them and discuss their business, hand them some cards, they give you your cards, and you can ask questions like, oh, like what areas do you service? I work in a lot of these areas. Are there any specific houses or apartments or type of properties that you look for or not? So I know what to recommend to you. So if it makes it look like you're engaged, they're probably more likely to remember you. And then try to write down some notes in your phone for like everyone you meet, keep your business cards. And then when you go next week and you say, oh, hey, Sarah, how's the realtor life? Junk removal's been kind of, and you can just get to know people. But then they remember you and they refer you out. So you don't actually have to join like a group that you have to pay for. You can just go to those meets. These coffee shops, they do breweries, they do like happy hour things, depending on where you're located. But yeah, Eventbrite is free to sign up for, and you don't have to pay for things unless it's a paid event or something. Most times, business stuff for free. Start making more videos and social media content. That's your goal. It's definitely not as easy as you make it seem. As I make it seem, I'm terrible on social media. I don't post on there as much as I should. YouTube's even harder. Send out more cards and post more, communicate more. There's a networking group I really want to go to for my city's business owners, but there's already go. It doesn't matter if there's already a guy there. Here's the thing. So unless they have like a rule, usually this is paid groups. There's a rule that says only one company per an industry. If that's the case, find something else. However, if it's just another group, you should be able to go there as a second junk hauler because you have to look at it this way. Think about realtors. How many times do you go to a group and there's like four realtors in the group? They're all selling the same area. They all have the same experience. They're selling the same stuff. They all have the same things to offer. They're all customer oriented. It is hard to stick out as a realtor. It really comes down to who you know. But you may come off as somebody a little bit more genuine as the other guy. So when you are there and you're talking with people and you're building that rapport, if a junk removal service comes up and they're scrolling down their phone, they might see your name and decide to pick you over the other guy just because they like you more. That's the power of networking. So, unless it's something that you can't go to, I would still go even if there's other people there. There's always going to be more than one company per an industry, unless it's like one of those paid groups. So, and it doesn't hurt to try to network with that other junk removal company. I send out, there's a guy in Miami that knows me through YouTube, and there's a guy in Fort Lauderdale. Well, there's a guy, a county below me, that knows me through YouTube, and I met him out back at Chipotle. Chris, his name is also Chris. And then there's a guy in Miami, Cayman, and then there's a guy in my county that I've sent multiple jobs to when either I can't get to it or I don't have the means of handling it because he has a winch on his dump trailer. So like there was this big refrigerator at a restaurant that I couldn't foresee myself doing myself, and I know he has a winch on his trailer, or and I figured like, oh, he can tip it back like that and then use the winch to pull it up. That's exactly what he did. So I'm perfectly okay with sending jobs to people of other junk haulers, whether I know them personally or not, if it means I'm taking care of my client. So it doesn't hurt to get to know that guy because he may have a really big commercial job that's like a 20 load job. And he might need some backup every now and then to say, hey, you come here in your truck, you handle 3 loads a day, and I'll pay you out X amount per load. And you can do the same thing back. Or maybe he is completely booked up and he has a repeat client who needs something done in an emergency. If he really cares about that repeat client, he would want them to just get taken care of. So he might say, I really can't get to it, but I know a guy nearby who can. And he'll basically subcontract you out. So you'll go there, you'll do the job. You're not going to advertise to them, but you'll do the job and leave. And he'll probably be the one to take payment. So there's always something you can do. So a realtor who posted on Facebook and next door looking for reliable contractors, etc. Yeah, I have a feeling they're probably talking about actual contractors though. But yeah, I mean, if you happen to know anyone who handles construction or who's a GC, you could comment their name and then say, I also do junk removal as well. Because if they're looking for contractors, there's a good chance junk removal is somewhere in that ballpark. So that's always an opportunity. But I think my fiance just got home. So I'm probably going to hop off in the next 5 minutes. So at 10:06 p.m., we will skedaddle for the night. If you weren't doing junk removal, what would you be doing? That's a damn good question. Um, no, I wouldn't go back to moving. I left moving because I got tired of it. I like the core concept of moving. I like the moving itself. I love like the problem solving, and it always feels like really like cool to be able to like we've gone into like 7 bedroom houses before, and you go in with a team of like 3 other guys, and you wrap everything up, you load it all up, you drive it, you go offload it all, and like in 10 hours, you literally relocated somebody's entire life in 10 hours. I always thought that was really like fulfilling. And I just like the like I hate the heavy moments, like the really tough ones where like you kind of want to kill yourself. But in general, like I like when I like when you have like a really difficult piece and you have to like brainstorm how to get it out, and then you play around with it a few times, and then you get it, and it's great. But I did not like working for a company, and I do not want to deal with the claims and the shitty side of customers in moving. And I could only describe that to you in examples, which would take more than 5 minutes. But I'm not sure what I would be doing if I wasn't doing junk removal, honestly. I don't know. I'd imagine I like building stuff at home. I'm not very good at it, but I enjoy it. So maybe I would try to find a job with like a contractor that I know and just learn more about like household building. So like installing tile and you know dealing with wiring and knocking down like walls and rebuilding walls. I feel like that would just be a useful skill to use in your own life and would also open up side hustles in the future doing like handyman work like we talked about earlier. So I think I would want to do something similar to that, but I it wouldn't be like as a self-employment thing, which I think is the biggest hurdle now is to get back into like a W-2 coming from self-employment. Like my what do you want? Hey, he's hungry. Um I lost my train of thought. I'll catch it. I'll get it. I'll get it. Give me a second. Self-employment. So one of my favorite things about the self-employment is not having a set schedule. Like if I need to take next Thursday off for something, I just don't book jobs on Thursday. It's as easy as that. If I want to go away for a weekend, yes, there's nobody here to work in my place, which sucks. That's where employees would come in. But I could technically just leave and be gone for that weekend. And like I don't have to wake up to somebody else's needs other than clients, which I'm kind of controlling the time for the most part. If I have a client call and say, "Hey, I need something done in the morning," I'm saying, "Okay, great, I can get there at 8, 8:30, 9 o'clock." They say, "Oh, can you get here at 6 in the morning?" I'm gonna say either no or I'm gonna say I can, but your price is gonna change quite a bit. So I feel like it's just hard once you've done it for a little while. It's hard to go back. But I would guess if I had to do something else, it would probably be something with like design or building because I feel like that's just a useful trait and be kind of a funnish job. I don't mind a little work. But it is 10:06, so I am going to get off. Hopefully the fiance brought home food, although she didn't say anything. So I probably will starve. But I will see you guys all next time. Thanks for tuning in to this live. I know we started off with a rocky start with the volume issue, and I had to close the stream and reopen a new one, and then I was on private for 12 minutes. But yeah, I feel like it was a pretty good live once we got a hang of it all. So thank you everybody for hanging out for an hour and 45 minutes. I'm also expanding into other labor jobs and handyman work. I think it's a good idea. I mean, labor work and handyman work's never gonna disappear. You want to say bye? Huh? You want to say bye? Bye to who? There's 10 people in here. Sure. Okay. Tanya says hi and bye. But so yeah, we'll see everybody next time. If you have questions, you can leave them either in the chat or in the video when it posts, and whatever questions, and comment your goals. Not everybody commented their goals. 17% said no, they don't change their goals. 83% said yes, they do, out of 18 votes. So if you're somebody who does change your goals, what do you find are you typically changing? Is it like real big like plans, or is it like just small little details? And if you said no, why not? Are you like really set in stone, or you just, don't find any need for it? But that's it for me. Hope everybody has a good night. If you're in California, it's only 6 o'clock, but I hope you have a good night as well.